All right, another question that you're not going to be able to give an answer to, but
sorry, I'm just such a disappointment on this episode.
Okay, wars of choice.
Okay,
like how good for our country is it? Like how much benefit should it be to our country for us to go to war?
Oh,
like, is there a loss of life to good for our country ratio that God's working with
I got you.
when he determines whether us going to war was good or not and okay with him or not?
Okay, so we're talking about, we're talking about not good for our own country, just for our own country's sake, but for the way God would view it. Is that what you're asking?
Like if the leader just was like we need to go blow up all this whole place in another country because I liked the beach there.
Right.
And I want to set up a giant tower with my name on it on that beach.
Boy, we're just walking right on into it, aren't we? Yeah, go ahead.
And that'd be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, what does God think of that?
I don't think that's good.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but no, I don't think it's good when you're just like, okay, we're gonna wipe out a whole people group or a whole area and just take it over because I want to. Like, no, that's just not okay.
Okay, how do you know that?
Okay, well, this kind of gets back to even just God and his perspective on thing, right? Like, he doesn't want death; he wants life. Okay. One, and then two. If it's like, I think there's one thing.
What if he wants life to enjoy a luxury resort?
No. Okay. And so I do think that there's stop. I don't know if y'all saw Nate just looking at me, but whatever. All right. So, but I think and this is where it's kind of hard to say, well, is this good enough or this, at what point? I do think that when there's a sense of like just selfishness involved, right?
Okay,
like,
on behalf of leader.
On behalf of leader,
okay,
right? That's problematic, right?
Okay,
and of course one of the arguments and it gets into the, like, as a country, do we only subscribe to just war? That, in other words, war's only just when we're attacked, when we are experiencing an existential threat, right? Or excuse me, an immediate threat.
Okay.
Is that the only way that we can go to war with good conscience, believing we're doing the right thing before God? Okay. And there are some who are going to hold to that.
Okay.
I mean, yes, there's the just the extreme pacifist, but that's just not
the other cheek.
That's just not. Yeah, that's just not a good take.
Okay.
So is it that, or is it the fact that, this is one of the talking points around even the war we're in now, like the whole idea of
which one?
Well, yeah, but the whole idea of the wars that we're in now, I'll say wars plural, and and because are we supposed to just be kind of like isolationist, right? Like only worry about our concerns here.
Right.
And don't get involved everywhere else, or because we're such we're all so tied globally now, right? Like that's we tried to stay out of everything, and then look what happened in World War II, right? We eventually get drug into it, and so the idea of and ever since then, the reason I reference back to that is because ever since then we have had to say, okay, everything that happens around the world actually impacts us to some degree now. Like, and it's even more so now, almost, 80 years later, it's almost more so now because we do have to sit around and say, oh, wow, that's happening over there. How does that impact us here? All right. And I do think that there's something to be said for, all right, is that enough of a threat there to warrant action on our part? And what does that action look like? And I think these are always the issues for us as individuals talking about this kind of thing, is because we don't know all the information, right? Like we think we do, and we never do.
No.
And so it's just, I feel like commentators on this kind of stuff, it's just like, when you're talking about these kind of things, it's like, man, we don't know. We don't know all the information. We don't have all the intel. We can pretend we do, but we just don't. And so I don't know. Like for a leader, though, if a leader's going, hey, if we don't deal with this country here, that is literally putting our country at jeopardy, our country's existence at jeopardy 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, 30 years down the line.
Okay.
If we don't deal with it now, this is an issue later on. Does that warrant enough of is that justified enough? For us to engage in a war?
Okay.
Preemptively on because generally as America we have not been the preemptive ones, right? Like we generally have not been the ones like let's go declare war. Okay,
right.
Generally speaking, historically that's been the case. I feel like
up until 5 minutes ago.
right. Where and yes, you've had the little and I love the way they do the distinguishing points of, well, that wasn't war. That was an incident or an attack, or they use different language.
Right.
Like if you take out a country's leader, like I don't know what else you call that, right? That's pretty much a declaration of war. At least to that other country, it is.
It's just a fun weekend.
Well, and
abroad,
course, right? And of course that's the concern the world has about the U.S. is like, are they just doing this because they can?
Yeah.
Like and so not just with this particular instance, but with instances before as well. And so I think that's again a large part of the conversation. And so I think that the perspective of it for God. It's so hard because life is so precious to him, and so I'm always going to side I'm going to side with life, right? We should value life, do all that we can to preserve life, But are there situations as a country that we have to do things for the best interest of our country? Yes, and does God look down at that and go, well, that was awful and terrible? Yeah, he probably does, in the sense of he grieves the laws of his creation, and he grieves that the world is so broken in sin that this is what we've had to like this is the end result of our brokenness and sin, is that we have to have war with each other. Like,
okay,
even though he knows it's inevitable, right? Jesus is like, you're gonna have wars and rumors of wars. Like, he knows it's inevitable.
So is one way for leaders to look at it is like, this is anytime we have to go to war, it's a consequence of past mistakes?
It is a consequence of sin and brokenness, 100%. Every time we go to war, it's that way.
Okay, so every time a leader has to make a decision about who gets deleted,
yeah,
like them having to make that decision is a consequence of the fact that we live in this life.
Yes, 100%.
Okay,
and sometimes the preservation for their country is that's what we got to do. The problem is, here's the problem.
Okay.
Is in America, we will feel justified when we do it to somebody else. But how dare they do it to us? Even though they may be thinking the exact same thing. In other words, even though they may be thinking, we have to do this to America because of the consequence of sin. Right? Does you see what I'm saying? Like when we get bombed.
Okay.
When we get attacked. Other countries are going to be thinking the same thing, or they could be, right? And that's the hard part, is because America always wants to look in the mirror and go, we're always justified and right when we do it, but how dare you do it to us?
Okay,
that's the problem. Is because then we really have if that's the way we view it, then we have set ourselves up as God's chosen nation. And therefore we always think we're in the right.
Right. This is too complicated.
It is complicated.
Well, okay, so what if it's America deleting other people in other countries that are not Christian? Like
right.
Super not Christian.
Right. Yeah. So if we're engaged in wars in the middle...
Like basically everyone else everywhere else.
Yeah, so if we're engaged in war in the Middle East...
Yeah.
With
anyone. Could be any of them. Could be any of the countries.
He does not want me to say specifically what. Yeah, this is the problem, right? The problem is because we will put ourselves as us, the good guys,
because Christians. Us good guys because we are Christians?
Or sometimes it's because we're Christians, sometimes it's just because we're Westerners.
Okay.
If I'm being honest. Like, it's not always just Christian. It's Westerners who hold certain values, okay? Not even necessarily all Christian values, but hold certain values, okay?
Well, that eliminates one of the countries over there, but keep going.
Yeah, and therefore, yeah, and therefore, it. So, like, for example, when I say like not Christian, what I mean by we have a perspective as a country on the rights of women. Okay?
Okay.
That is going to be very different than in the Middle East.
Okay.
Okay? And so because of that, we can sit here with a sense of moral superiority.
That's not true. They love women over there.
Yeah. Man, so I've got friends who are women and who were...
You're not supposed to do that.
Who served in the Middle East as women.
Huh?
They were missionaries in the Middle East as women.
Okay.
And just like, let them tell you the stories of women. And,
okay.
And it's just like, anyway, all right, that's a whole other topic. I'm going to zip it. All right. But my point being is, so sometimes we're Christian. Sometimes it's just that we have a sense of moral superiority, right and wrong. And by the way, I do think we are right when we say women have rights, right? Like, we're right on that.
We're right.
Okay. And so from a country in the Middle East that don't hold to all of those values, okay, whether Christian values or others, then what we would call liberal values, right?
Okay.
And so if another country is not holding to those same kind of liberal values or Christian values, then is it like, well, God's for us but against them?
Right.
Is that right? That is a way to phrase it. We might look at it and go, all right, there's who we are, right?
Right.
As Americans, we hold these values that are just, we believe, are better than the values, held in these other countries. And therefore are liberal, again, whether it's Christian or whether it's liberal values, it's better. But does it give us a right to just go, well, we're just going to bomb them off the earth? No. No.
All right.
Because again, they're still,
why not?
Because they're still God's creation, right? And so 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 1. First of all, then, I urge that petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgivings be made for everyone, for kings, and for all those who are in authority, so that they may lead a tranquil and quiet life in all godliness and dignity. This is good, and it pleases God and Savior, who wants everyone to be saved and to come to the knowledge of the truth. And I think this is the issue, is like God really does want everyone to come to know him. And the ideal situation for that to happen is when kings and rulers and those in authority are actually living godly lives with dignity that causes their countries to have a sense of peace and tranquility and what we would say freedom. A freedom for the gospel to be shared and spread, right? And one of the primary issues we might have with, countries, not just in the Middle East, but elsewhere as well, that prohibit the preaching of the gospel, that prohibit the sharing of Jesus. And we would go, that's not okay. But that also, at the same token, doesn't just give our country the right to blow them off the earth, right? Like, because that's not like Jesus didn't do that. Like, it wasn't like Jesus just, we have to think about it. Jesus didn't come and just destroy Rome so that people would therefore be more, quote unquote, free,
Isn't that what the Jews think Jesus is going to do?
Or the Messiah, because remember, they don't believe Jesus is the Messiah. So, yes, that was, for a long time, that was the perspective, was that the Messiah was going to set them free, initially it was, or not initially, but yes, during Jesus' time, it was from Rome, and it's been other places since. All right, so...
I didn't mean to bring up the Jews again. Sorry, that's just what it...
Inevitably.
All right, sorry.
Inevitably. But... And so I think that we have to kind of look at it beyond like the Christian versus Muslim, for example, perspective. Okay. I think it has to be more than that. It has to be, all right, well, because there's some countries that would be, or that are predominantly Muslim, that we're not having, like, we don't look at it and go, oh, there's these horrible issues there, right?
Are there Muslim countries that, I guess I don't know that. Are there Muslim countries that let people be Christians in them?
Yes.
There are? Okay.
Yes. And so you've got countries that are like majority Muslim.
Right.
But they don't demand, or they won't kill you if you become a Christian.
Okay.
Right? That's like the issue.
Yeah.
You know? And it's because you want there to be a freedom to be able to
I still
choose.
probably wouldn't live there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to be safe.
Right. Just to, you know. Yeah. And you would really stick out there.
Oh, yeah. That's why I don't travel.
Like, at all.
I don't leave this seat.
I don't.
Camera turns off and I just sit here till the next time you see me. And scroll through Twitter and watch all these other people get blown up.
But you're just sitting here happy as you could be.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. All right. So,
skippity doo-dah.
All right. So I think that there's a sense that when we look at, you know, like other countries that again have different religions than we are, whether they're Muslim, whether they're, you know, Hindu, whether they're just or whether they're communist and no religion, right, kind of thing.
Do they kill Christians in China?
Do they kill them in China?
Yeah.
It historically it's they have at times, and then there's been times where they've not.
Okay.
So it's kind of going back and forth a little bit.
Okay.
And so it really and I think a lot of it depends on how much they believe. Currently, a lot of it depends on how much they believe one is proselytizing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's more of the bigger issue.
Okay.
Yeah. And so there's, you know, so China at times have had underground church, and other times they've been free to meet and gather together.
Okay.
So again, it kind of just goes back and forth depending on who's leading the.
Do they have a state
party.
religion?
No, they don't have a state religion.
Oh, okay.
Mm-mm.
All right.
Yeah.
So they're good guys.
Okay.
This I've actually enjoyed this episode.
Okay.
I feel like are we done with that question?
I don't think.
All right. Here's the problem.
Okay. Tell me the problem.
Here's the problem with everything that we've talked about today.
Okay.
Is that you didn't give any definitive answers, and I have no idea what to think.
I know.
And I guess there just is no definitive answers. And
okay, here's the problem: is because as a Christian, right?
Yeah,
I'm going to say, don't take life.
Right.
I mean, that's like bottom line.
But
okay?
we must delete the Muslims.
No, and no, dude, no. Okay, so that's my position.
And the communists.
Right, you should start listing off everybody. Yeah.
And the French for some reason.
Just because they're a bunch of jerks. No.
And take over Canada. And we're good.
Everything.
And God will be pleased. Evening and morning, first day. Or whatever.
God saw that it was good.
Yeah.
Oh, Lord. No, because, I mean, I think God grieves over all of it is the problem because of the sin and the brokenness that's led to all the wars and all the issues with wars. So God grieves over all of it. Okay.
Oh,
but then there are times I believe we have to do certain things at certain times to protect not only ourselves as Americans, but also to protect others around the world. And that we have to get involved at times with things.
Okay, so if
and that's where for me that's where the tension lies, because war just in of itself is not good, right?
Right,
and it's all because of brokenness and all because of sin, and Christ died for it, and so none of it's good. But it's also inevitable, and it's going to happen. So then, how do we therefore go about it in a way that is most honoring to the Lord, even when life is going to be taken?
Okay, I guess I'm thinking about it on a scale of like we know God told us to engage in this act of war, or leader says, I know for a fact that God is telling us that we have to go to war, like what God would do and tell the Israels to do. And then And then there's that story with in the Bible. What am I talking about?
There's a lot of stories in the Bible.
The one
about
where he wanted David, where he wanted the hot lady taking a bath.
Okay, Bathsheba.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And so he sent the guy to he made sure that her husband got murdered.
Yes.
So there's like, God told us to do this war, and then everything in the middle, all the way till I the leader am declaring this war for my personal gain.
Okay. Yeah. Well, David's context real quick is interesting because David should have never been there in the first place to see her, because he should have been off at war. It was the season and the times in which kings gathered for war, and he didn't go.
There was a season for it?
Yeah.
Like it's war season,
yes.
Let's go?
Yes.
What?
Yeah, I know. That's a whole other thing. But I don't want to, without getting all of that, I just wanted to say was, even the context of that was war.
Okay.
And so her husband is sent off to die because they were already engaged in war. They were already engaged in battle. It was the season of when kings battled.
Okay.
With countries. Anyway, it's wild, but whatever.
But I guess what I'm saying is, I just like all the stuff in the middle.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying,
like because you and I could both say that right, like the thing about, hey, I want this beach just because I like it.
Right.
Like all Christians probably would presume that that's a bad reason to blow people up.
Yes, bad reason.
But then there's all the way till God told us to just go destroy this nation.
Yeah, and I think...
And so there's a bunch of stuff in the middle that we don't...
Right, well, and that's what I was saying is like, but we're not Israel, right? Like, no country today functions as Israel did in the Old Testament.
Okay, so since Israel in Old Testament,
uh-huh,
all actions of war have just been God grieves all of it.
100%. But God grieved, even when his own people had to go and take life, there was still grieving in God. Now, it was his will because he was directing it,
okay,
right? But it doesn't mean there's not grief when life is taken. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, there's like a bunch more questions.
I know, and I'm sorry that I'm not, I'm sorry I'm not giving like straight answers, but it's this stuff is so nuanced, and it's so, there's not like these just, well, yep, we're always wrong or we're always right, or like,
it's like
sometimes we've got to fight because actually we need to, and then other times, no, we should never have been there or done that. And
it's so, like everything that we've ever talked about, you're just like, well, all that goes out in war. Like if you have to go protect the like,
and what I'm saying is, but that's what war is. Like, war is sin. War is brokenness.
I cheated on my wife for God.
No.
To protect God. You know,
I'm not saying protect. I'm not saying you're doing it for God
or for.
No, I'm never going to say that.
Okay.
Yeah. No. But what I'm saying is, there are individuals that do that because of their position, because of what they willingly choose. Hey, I'm going to go be a spy, or I'm going to go undercover, right, or I'm going to whatever. Like, they're choosing to do those things, and lines are crossed.
I'm going to perform torture,
moral, ethical things, or the torture, and I'm not saying any of that is like good or okay or God pleasing. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, again,
but in the context of war, God looks at it differently.
War, I think God still just agrees with the whole thing. To be honest with you, I'm just saying but for our country's sake, this is the distinctions. Like, for our country's sake, we do things that are not necessarily pleasing to God, but have to be done for the preservation of our own country and for the better for our own country's interest.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not always saying that's equated to God's will.